Russian and Ukrainian delegations met in Belarus for the first round of peace talks Monday. Now officials are returning to their respective capitals for consultations before more talks in the coming days. Joining us now is General Ben Hodges. He is a former U.S. Army commanding general for Europe. General Hodges, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. So where are the bulk of Russian forces right now? And what might that suggest about Russia's next moves?
Well, there are reports of a very large formation north of Kyiv, which would seem likely, given that that appears to be the main effort for Russian forces to finally get into Kyiv. But I've been appalled, actually, to see this massive convoy along the road so exposed. And for sure, the Ukrainians are going to make them pay a huge price with artillery strikes and drone strikes on that convoy. But there are other Russian forces that have not been as visible as I would have expected. Specifically, their amphibious forces in the Black Sea and Sea of Azov. A lot of capability there that has not shown huge, important effects so far. So what we're seeing in the picture you're showing right now, this is incredible. Approaching combat, bumper to bumper convoy, to me shows a not the level of tactical skill that I would have expected.
General, on the other side of that, has anything surprised you by the level of Ukrainian resistance that we have seen? And at this point, is there any way to tell who's winning so far?
Well, great question. For sure, Russian Federation forces are behind on their anticipated timeline. Where they would have thought, what they would have expected to be by this time. They're nowhere close to that. And in fact, Kyiv is going to be a meat grinder for them. This is a massive city of over 3 million people, multiple cross-compartmentalized areas with high-rise structures. It will be very difficult. And so that attack that's coming there will be swallowed up inside this city. I'm not surprised with how well Ukrainian forces, how land forces have fought. They've been learning for 8 years. I've always been impressed with their toughness, but especially how quick they learn and how adaptive and tech savvy they are. What I am surprised is how they've managed to keep so much of their air defense capability and their drones. They've protected them, but the Russians have not been able to eliminate that. And it does also seem that somehow the ammunition supplies are getting through, which is what they really need, anti-tank and air defense weapons. They're able to stay in the fight with that.
Against that backdrop, General, President Putin has put Russian nuclear deterrence forces on high alert. How potentially dangerous is that development?
Well, we certainly are in a very dangerous situation when you've got somebody like Vladimir Putin who has control over these nuclear forces when he starts raising the level of alert or readiness. But that does not mean a nuclear strike is imminent. President Putin has used or has threatened with nuclear weapons before over the past few years. And of course, it cost him nothing to threaten the use of nuclear weapons. Whereas if he were to use them, even a single or small low-yield nuclear weapon, it would cost him everything. And so we need to be alert. But I think also the best way to make sure he doesn't do this is that we stick together. And the Chinese have no interest in there being a nuclear strike. So I think China ought to be stepping in here as well.
And General, we have seen several other countries that are blocking sea and air access to Russian boats and aircraft. But how much does that matter for Ukraine when it is surrounded by Russia and Russian-aligned countries?
So, of course, Ukraine does have 3 NATO allies on its western border, Poland being the largest one, but also Hungary and Slovakia. But you're right about Belarus and Russia on its northern and eastern border. But Turkey's decision to go ahead and invoke its authority under the Montreux Convention of 1936, which gave Turkey sovereignty over the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles, the straits that connect the Black Sea to the Aegean and the Mediterranean, This is huge. The Black Sea, without being able to transit those straits, is just a gigantic lake. But because of the straits, this is why Russia has always wanted the Black Sea. Why Catherine the Great annexed Crimea back in the late 18th century. It's the only warm water port they have year round that allows them out into the oceans of the world. Turkey saying that no Russian Navy ships can transit those straits sends a very, very important signal to the Kremlin that they are, what they're doing is in violation of all sorts of international agreements and laws. And so it's a brave move for Turkey, and we need to support them.
And very quickly, what do you see, General, as the best and worst case military scenarios? How might those unfold?
Well, the worst case for me, other than obviously a nuclear strike, which I just don't expect, the worst case is that because Russian Federation forces are getting frustrated, and I can imagine the pressure on commanders is immense coming from the Kremlin, is that they are going to increasingly resort to blunt force, targeting civilians and civilian targets without regard for collateral damage. So it's going to be quite nasty. But the best case is Ukrainian civilians and Ukrainian forces are continuing to win tactical victories along the way, and it feels like they're getting the momentum.
General Ben Hodges, we so thank you for helping us understand what's going on. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for the privilege.